The Greek myth of the island of Lemnos tells of how the women native to that land came to reject the goddess Aphrodite, Venus, even mocking her in some versions. And so Aphrodite cursed them with foul smell. The consequence of turning your back on the archetype of female beauty is that you cease to be beautiful. The symbolism here is pretty straightforward. They become repulsive to the men of the island, who decide to look elsewhere for female company, pursuing the ladies of the northern land of Thrace instead. Enraged, the cursed women are roused to manocide, murdering the male population of the island, but of course they soon find that while they can struggle through a lot of the work the men used to do, there's one thing they can never do for themselves: have children. However empowered, they cannot make themselves mothers. For that, they need a man. It isn't until the famous crew of Jason and the Argonauts pass by that the ladies of Lemnos are able to get pregnant and produce the next generation of islanders, after giving themselves to those sea-bound adventurers. But of course, the men they end up with aren't theirs. The Argonauts won't settle in the island. They won't be husbands to the women or fathers to their children. Their destiny lies elsewhere. They move on, they continue on their mission to find the Golden Fleece. In some versions, the queen of Lemnos herself, Hypsipyle, is betrayed by her female subjects when they find out she betrayed their trust first, by saving her father from the mass murder of men. She couldn't bring herself to have him die as well, and so she hid him away, but as punishment, her people sell her into slavery. She actually ends up serving a king or priest of Zeus. There's a lot to unpack here. Them who would be free of female beauty standards, wanting their men to embrace them without these, end up with no men at all. Then, deciding they want to be free of men altogether, they end up regretting that decision too, but alas, too late. And their queen, the representative of this gender war, becomes a thrall to some tyrant of the seas. Our problems can sometimes be explained in terms of the archetypes that we are rejecting, and the foolhardy desire for freedom can deliver us into a parody of what we were looking for. Still, today the myth would be a bit different. It's not Aphrodite, the modern equivalent to the Lemnos ladies have turned their backs on. Not feminine beauty as such. That would apply maybe to earlier versions of feminism. Although, of course, today's hypersexual aesthetic does reject feminine beauty in a way, but the real rebellion is against the wife and householder archetypes. Hera and Hestia, Juno and Vesta. Mainstream culture tells young women to reject husbands and the hearth. And so, rather than men leaving passport bro style, like the men of Lemnos looking for foreign concubines, today you have the so-called incel phenomenon, with less dating in general among the younger generations. Some young women flock to a minority of men who don't commit to them, like the crew of the Argonauts, here today, gone tomorrow. But the main problem isn't so-called hypergamy, women seeking higher status males so that instead of mostly monogamous married couples, some females accrue to a few men. That happens, but it's not as widespread as some manosphere red pillars think. What we have isn't really hypergamy, or not flesh and blood hypergamy. It's cyber hypergamy, barren hypergamy, a fertility sinkhole, an anti-family labor market, anti-natalist economy, cursing the ideal of the wife and mother and therefore alienating the husband and father, patriarch and defender. The modern Lemnos woman submits to an impersonal master instead. She becomes the barren concubine of wage slavery. As in the Greek myth, false liberation from the patriarchy, leads to a parody of freedom. Precarious work, atomized society, loneliness, overstimulation, fatigue.
I'm going out with really handsome, accomplished, interesting people, and I feel nothing. I'm just so depleted. I know my person's out there, but I'm starting to really question if I even have it in me to find them.
One particularly flagrant manifestation of this is that more women than ever are basically in the industry through platforms like OnlyFans. In the past, we had the castle on the hill, the image of Dracula's mansion, the trope of Hollywood absorbing fertile, attractive women from small-town USA desperate to get famous, taking up their childbearing years. Now, the promise of e-celebrity and easy internet money from the comfort of your apartment has decentralized the same phenomenon and made it much more widespread. In fairy tales, you get a dragon that often hoards what he cannot use, gold he cannot spend, a princess he cannot impregnate. Today, this serpent lives on the internet. He's a platform, a place in virtual space through which millions of men may gaze, their libido funneled into an egregore of lust, each OnlyFans simp a eunuch in that cyber dragon's harem. Modern woman, like her forebearers at Lemnos, has rejected an essential archetype, the wife, turned her back on the kind of man who would have been an appropriate mate. Like Hypsipyle, they end up slaves, not to a pirate, but to a sterile taskmaster, a screen, a webcam, a faraway tech bro's bank account. Obviously, men are to blame as well, more so in many ways, as they've fallen well short of their own ideal types. But the myth of Lemnos teaches us that our situation can often be explained in terms of what archetypes, what vocations we've rejected. And we can always turn things around, repent, reprogram our nervous systems, detox from internet stimulation addiction, find ways out of the rat race. But getting back to a healthy society, including gender relations, has to mean settling back into individual, natural baseline way of being. You have to take time to focus the mind in silence, stop scrolling, don't touch porn. Apart from economic conditions, which we do have to change to make them more pro-family, hyperstimulation and the fact that the internet gives you some sense of contact with the opposite gender, which is virtual, which is fictitious, parasocial, has to be addressed. You have to break out from that on an individual level to help things heal on the macro as well. We do have to complement each other. Men give things their shape, distinctness, borders. Women give color, substance, warmth. Men are power, women plenitude. Men freedom, women fullness. Men the command to be, women the breath that animates. We are light and the waters, to use images from the Bible. Okay, thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, you can join my Substack, you can buy me a coffee, join the channel, follow me on Twitter to support the channel, subscribe. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and until next time.